Okay, we'll get started. People are starting to come through now and we're getting the numbers rising. So we'll get started. I'm conscious of your time. Hi, Jill. Rainy Bolton. Gosh. Anyway, let's hopefully those weathers improve. Hi, everybody. Great. Let's get started. So what the hell has happened over the last 9 months? Well, I dug up an old quote from Andy Gove. This is something that I've used when I was speaking to small businesses as an accountant in the past, and was effectively saying, and Andy said this was probably about 5 years ago, that we are at an inflection point where nothing less than a fundamental shift in business strategy is sufficient, or words to that effect. He was actually talking about the cloud and how cloud technology would influence the world and how we really needed to be looking at that from a strategic perspective and how we were going to handle that. And I think it's still particularly apt for the world we live in now, but I think it's even greater than that. I think this is a defining moment. Are we going to be content to continue to report on history and report on our clients' history? Are we going to help them with what they exactly need, what they are looking and asking for? And are we actually going to help our clients create history? Now, today we're talking about planning for 2021 before it's too late. So this is absolutely critical time for our small business clients. It's a critical time for our firms. It's a critical time for us, and it's a critical time for our clients too. Are we going to add value and help them create magic so that we create magic for ourselves? Or are we going to just do what we've always done? Now, before we get started, I just want you to put you in a space. Imagine if your clients were to say to you, wow, nobody has ever gone through anything like this with me before, let alone in this much detail. What if your client were to say to you, it's like you've lit a fire beneath me. You've created so much enthusiasm and excitement for my business. I just can't thank you enough. What if they were to say to you, when can we get started? We're not talking about accounts and tax returns here. We're talking about working with your clients, helping them understand their business, understand their numbers, understand where they are now or where they could or should get to, and helping and working with them to create a plan to close that gap. This is what we're going to be talking about today, and we're going to be delving into the importance of planning and why planning is so critical at this particular juncture. Now, if you think it's all about technology today, yes, I am coming from a tech company perspective, maybe some of the time, but it's not just about technology, it's also about people and process. Now, the thing here is we need to be dealing and helping all of our clients. This isn't just our top 5, 10, 20%, this is all of our clients. And to enable us to deal with all of our clients, we're going to need all of our team to do that. We're going to need the systems and processes to enable us to do that. And we're going to need to leverage the power of technology. Technology isn't a silver bullet. It's not a panacea. It's there to do the heavy lifting. And we need that technology to do the heavy lifting to help us absolutely help all of our clients. My name is Aynsley. I'm the CEO of Clarity. Before Clarity, I still am an accountant, I should say. I am a qualified accountant. I have handed back my practicing certificate, but I am still an accountant. I left KPMG and built and sold my own multi-award-winning, multi-million-dollar revenue accounting firm. We specialized in providing niche business advisory services to high-growth entrepreneurs and to small business owners who were looking to grow. We won a huge number of awards for the way we did business, and particularly technology and innovation. But it wasn't technology for technology's sake. It was how we used technology to create a better client experience and better client services. We were very early adopters of cloud technology back in 2008-9, and we quickly learned that cloud had an important part to play in us with our clients. Not necessarily, as I said, about technology, but about better data to make better business decisions. And hopefully we'll look at how we can use technology to enable us to access all of our clients and to be able to help all of our clients. I'm joined today by Amy Hayes, who's head of community. Amy's going to be manning the chat for us. She's going to be interrupting me, cutting through. So please ask questions. Please join us. You've already started chatting and letting us know where you're from. So please do keep that up. It's hard when you're, as I said, when you're speaking to an audience you can't see. You don't know whether you're going too fast, too slow, whether everybody's getting it, or whether I need to hammer home certain points. So please do join in the chat, say hi. There's lots of people being saying hi already, and ask any questions you want. We'll be gladly deal with them. I'm quite a relaxed speaker, so Amy will interrupt me and butt in on your behalf. So don't worry, you're muted, but you're on mute effectively, but you're definitely not muted. So please join in the chat say hi and show us that you can use that. And obviously, if you agree, we'd love to hear that too. Doesn't need to necessarily be a question. Those are just some of the awards that we had won as accountants. Amy was also with me in my previous life in the accounting world. And a brief introduction to the agenda about what we're going to cover today. So a little introduction to us, who we are. We're going to talk about why planning is really important and why now. We're going to talk about how to simply plan for all of your clients. This isn't about your top clients. This is leaving no business behind. Hashtag leave no business behind is a great movement. This is not about leaving anybody behind. This is about getting everybody up to speed, getting everybody in the right place, and helping our clients make a dramatic shift in 2021. And we'll talk about that too. But we'll give you a process that you can deal with all of your clients, and then we'll take you through the next steps. So hopefully that's good. Hopefully that's good to go, and it's giving you good insight into what we're up to today. This is about helping our clients create history, not about reporting on history. Fantastic. So a little bit about Clarity. Clarity is a technology platform. It's a platform that helps firms introduce business advisory services across their entire client base. Traditionally, accounting firms have only dealt with their top 10 or 20% of clients in a possibly unstructured manner from a business advisory or business support perspective. From our days in accountants, we've understood the gaps in the existing processes and in the existing systems and tools that are available, and we've effectively created a solution for you to be able to engage all of your team to deliver business advisory to all of your clients in a way that's profitable for the firm, adds value to the client, but also does it in a way and at a cost that they're able to afford to and can see the value in paying. So that's business advisory by all of your team for all of your clients, profitable for the firm at a value and at a price that small business owners are prepared to pay. Our vision actually is a world where we give every business owner in the world clarity. This isn't just business owners as in clients, this is also accounting firm owners too. Clarity so that they can build a better business for themselves, a better life for their family and team, and ultimately contribute towards creating a better world too. We've launched at Xerocon in Brisbane in September 2019. My goodness, time has, that year seems to have just gone by in a blur, but we've been very lucky since our year and a bit of being in operation that we've won a number of awards. And most recently, we won the Accounting Excellence Award for Best Forecasting Planning Analysis Software of the Year. Again, some really tough and existing stalwarts in that space. So we were very chuffed with that. We're also a finalist in Xero's Practice App of the Year for 2021. So that'll be in March next year. So that's good too. Enough about us. Let's get stuck in. So why planning matters, and particularly why now? Before I get started, Amy, do we have, I can see the chats raking along. Have we got people just saying hi? Hi, Samantha, welcome. Yeah, okay.
Yep, just highs and hellos.
Fantastic, great, thank you. Fantastic, so why planning and why particularly now? Well, let's look at the stats a little bit from a small business perspective. So let's just take a more helicopter view on this. There are 5.7 million small businesses in the UK, representing 99.09% of all businesses. And this is pretty much the standard numbers that you see across the world, whether it's in the US, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. In fact, most of Europe as well, we'll see that the figures are absolutely pretty much consistent. 99.9% of businesses in most Western economies are small businesses. In the UK, they represent almost 2/3 of all private sector employment and over 50% of private sector GDP. So small business is absolutely colossal. However, when we look at the failure rates or the success rates, whichever way you want to flip that coin, whether you're a glass half empty or glass half full, we see that most small businesses fail within the first 5 years. In fact, only 4 out of 10 businesses in the UK survive more than 5 years. And that's absolutely shocking. When we extrapolate those numbers out to 10 years, it's harder and harder to find relevant data from a 10-year perspective. But anecdotally, anywhere between 1 and 3 businesses survives that 10-year cycle. And that's because most economic cycles go in 10 years. Although well, absolutely, I suppose we've almost seen that in recent times, and particularly since the financial crash has probably been a little bit more than a 10-year period. So why do we think small business owners fail? Why do we think the success rates of small business are so low? Well, the major factors, and I'm not going to deal with the economic factors here. I'm looking purely at the factors that are in control, that are within the control of the small business owners, and the factors that are within our control as their advisors, their bookkeepers, their accountants as well. So this is, why do small businesses fail, and what can we do to absolutely stop that? Well, the first reason is the world is complex. Business is complex. It's getting more so. If you can imagine, 10 years ago, operational best practice and great customer service almost guaranteed you success. Now, operational best practice and outstanding customer service only get you to the starting line. Just look at it in how you deal with other companies, how much your expectations increase. Now, I know obviously during the last 6 to 9 months, it's been pretty tricky from a customer service perspective, and many businesses, certainly the larger businesses, haven't been particularly helpful potentially. But we know, and from our members who are accountants and bookkeepers, and talking to accountants and bookkeepers around the world, we know how much accountants have actually dug deep over the last 6 to 9 months. So it's expected. It's just getting you to the starting line. Now, we're being bombarded by information, and it's coming at us from all angles. Our clients are bombarded by information too. Email, social media, news outlets, everybody sending information in at all different ways, and really crowding the mind of that small business owner. It's very, very tricky to be able to filter through all that and get down to the nub of the issue, to get into the really important headline facts. Now, small business owners are effectively drowning in that information. They're starving for knowledge. What they don't need from us as a profession is more information. What we don't need to be doing is overloading them and throwing them more and more data. What we need to be doing is interpreting that data for them and giving them insights, giving them high impact strategies and insights that they can absolutely take action on and can drive their results going forward. So this isn't about flooding them with more reports and data that they just don't read. This is us sitting down with our clients, and that's metaphorically sitting down with our clients potentially, particularly at this moment in time, and working them through and walking them through the key numbers in their business, the key insights that we can help them and help them take decisions and create action. Now, we say VUCA worlds because that's volatile, uncertain, chaotic, and ambiguous, and that's a military term. It's been particularly coined for warfare in a particularly volatile world, and the old ways of doing things, the old command structure, command and control structure, don't work in modern warfare, much the same as techniques and tactics in business don't work. The old ways tend to not work as fast in an ever-moving, ever-changing world. Now, most of the theories are still the same. It just means they need to be communicated and implemented in a different way. So I'm not saying the old ways of doing things are wrong. I'm just saying they now need to be implemented and adapted, and the way we actually get them out working is potentially slightly different, and we need to be bearing that in mind. So let's not overload our clients with more data. Let's give them insights and give them actionable, simple insights that they can take action. So the world is complex. Let's simplify it for our clients. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So if we can explain in plain English in a way that their grandparents or their children would understand, then we're doing our clients a massive service by doing that. Now, obviously, cash is a major issue for small businesses too. A recent report by Xero showed that 64% of businesses that fail because of a lack of cash flow. Now, cash flow is a symptom. We need to understand the underlying issues that are causing that cash flow issue. So focusing purely on short-term cash flow in a crisis may be helpful, but focusing all the time on short-term cash is not the right way to go either. Can you imagine driving a car looking at your fuel tank all the time? You're going to crash. It's exactly the same in business too. We need to absolutely help our clients understand short-term cash flow, but more importantly, we need them to understand the difference between profit and cash. How many times when you give your clients a set of accounts and they say to you, I couldn't have made all that profit, where has all the cash gone? That's the issue we need to be getting our clients to understand. They need to understand if their business model is generating sufficient operating cash. And that's critical. We also need to help them understand the movement of cash in their business and how to accelerate that cash movement. But if the business is inherently flawed and doesn't generate sufficient operating cash, no matter what we do to that business, we're never going to generate positive cash flow. We're only going to have short-term cash flow blips, which may mask an underlying big issue in that company that we need to be helping them with. So this is about us understanding the business model. Is the business model generating operating cash, or is the business surviving on outsources finance cash or outsourced investing cash, selling assets? So let's make sure that the business model is sound and secure. And as accountants and bookkeepers, we can also help our clients understand the cost of capital. So we can help them understand whether getting a loan is the right way, what type of finance is the right way, what that cost of finance is, whether it's affordable, and whether the business is able to fund it going forward, whether it's generating sufficient return from that finance to be able to fund that loan and that repayment going forward. So again, amazing skills that we have as accountants and bookkeepers that our clients don't have, and sometimes we might underestimate the value that we can deliver. The other big challenge that small business owners have is they don't get their numbers. Now, this is twofold. Firstly, they don't get regular management information. In fact, only 20% of businesses in the UK, and this is possibly the old 80-20 rule, get regular management information. Now, in the days of cloud, that's quite shocking in many respects. And when we run a huge number of workshops for accountants, and even in all of those workshops, and we're talking about pretty cloud-savvy accountants here, and they themselves are saying only 15 to 20%, or even in 5% in some cases, are getting regular management information. I suppose our perception is that clients don't want to pay for management reporting. Now, management reporting, if you think about it, the management accounts we're preparing, is that a push of a button from Sage, QuickBooks, or Xero? Or is that absolutely looking at those accounts, looking at the long-term work in progress, looking at the stock adjustments, looking at revenue accruals and prepayments, looking at revenue recognition? Are our management accounts just a push of a button, or are we actually spending time in preparing those management accounts? Now, again, giving clients choppy management accounts with numbers that are doing that isn't helpful for making business decisions. So we need to get our clients to understand the value of proper management information to make proper business decisions. Now, the other challenge that small business owners have is they don't get their numbers and they don't understand them. Oftentimes they nod at us when we're talking through management information or accounts, and we think, yes, they're on top of it, they understand. But most small business owners don't understand their numbers, they don't understand percentages. As accountants, we have an inherent ability with numbers. After all, Warren Buffett said, accounting is the language of business. It's a complicated language, and our clients generally don't understand it. Oftentimes they say to us, that's what you're here for. That's why we have the numbers people, because we don't understand numbers. We have you to do that. And often in the past, accountants and bookkeepers have said, absolutely, we're here to do the numbers. You worry, you look after your business. But in reality, we're doing them a massive disservice by saying that. Effectively, we need to help them understand the financial implication of every decision they take. If they don't understand that, they will be taking decisions and taking actions and doing things that are not helping profit and cash. We need them to understand the main dials in their business. We need to understand the main levers in their business and to understand what actions affect what levers and what those levers are doing to their profit and cash position. So it's vitally important that we help our clients understand their numbers better and understand, more importantly, the levers in their business and what actions drive what levers, so that they can take the right actions without having us there 24/7. The last point I'm going to talk about is planning. Most small businesses wing it. Most small businesses don't have a business plan. If you think about how many businesses have management reporting, how many businesses absolutely and actually have a clear plan? Now, this is a business plan, not a financial plan. This isn't a 60-page tome that sits at the bottom drawer and only gets used for a bank loan every now and again. This is a living, breathing, working financial plan that we're constantly revisiting and looking at budget versus actual, for example. If you think about it, nothing in the world gets created without a plan. No art, no music, nothing structural, no buildings, engines, cars, nothing of that sort gets created without a plan. Everybody needs to have an idea about what they're going to do. They need to map it out, and then they need to then take action to help it along. Now, I'm not saying that the plan doesn't change, that it's a fixed route and we've got no option of moving left or right. It also means that it doesn't mean that we have to know what's going to happen in 6 to 12 months. It means we have an idea. It means we have a picture. It means we have a route map. It means we're thinking about it. If you start building a house with just blocks on the ground and you start putting them together and seeing what happens, it might be that you create a good house, but more likely than not, it's not going to be the house you really, really wanted. This is about us designing that house in our mind, picturing it, and then creating a plan and following that plan. It doesn't mean that the plan won't change, that we won't add extra rooms, paint it a different color, change the window layout, change the interior layout, add extra rooms, add a conservatory. Absolutely it does, but this means that we are at least know where we're going. We have an idea, we have steps that we need to take, and we can measure and monitor where we are against where we're supposed to be. Are we off track? Are we on track? Are we doing great and we need to do more of it? Are we doing really badly and we need to do better? And this is critical. Every successful business in the world has a plan. We need to make sure that all our clients have a plan. That's how critical planning is to success. Now, all of these things that we've talked about, the issues and challenges that are facing small businesses, every single one of those can be overcome by us as accountants, bookkeepers, and advisors spending more time with our clients, or at least spending more time in the right areas with our clients. To enable us to get to access to all of our clients, we are going to have to leverage technology. We have all the inherent skills, training, and ability to help small business owners with all the challenges that they face. And today we're going to talk you through a route map to creating a plan for all of your clients, one that's scalable and able for you to be able to do, but also highly valuable for the client too. You see, as accountants, oftentimes we seek perfection. We always need to know the answer for the debit and credit. How do you account for something? We also need to know the tax treatment. We can't get it wrong. But in business, we can't know the answers. Nobody knows the answers in business. We have to think about a problem. We have to come up with a solution. We have to test it and measure and monitor what those effects of that action is, because we'll never know if it's right or wrong, and we can argue black and blue in advance. Until we take action and measure that action, we won't know whether something's right or wrong. And when we're looking at planning, oftentimes we think, oh, we need this perfect Excel model that's got so many moving parts that perfectly models the business. Well, yes, some businesses will need that perfect Excel model, but most small business owners can pay for it. Perfection sometimes costs too much money and is too hard to achieve. Sometimes good enough is good enough. And in the past, I've always said, last year plus 5% is a dreadful way of planning. Well, yes, it's clunky, but in the absence of anything, it's better than nothing. This is about helping our clients think differently about their business, about measuring and monitoring their business, about spending time on their business, looking and thinking about the actions and what impact that's having on their financial statements. This isn't about coaches and consultants who tell them to grow revenue at the cost of everything else. We know sometimes that growing revenue can actually cause the business to go broke. Sometimes we need to be careful when we grow revenue. But absolutely, revenue growth will have the biggest possible impact on the bottom line if it's done profitably, if it's done scalably, and if it's done sustainably. And again, inherently as accountants, we have the ability to be able to model that quickly and simply for our clients to be able to help them understand that. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about not just our clients, but ourselves too, because whatever's good for our clients is generally good for us too. And we must fit our own oxygen mask first. We've got to look after our own firm before we start looking after our clients. If you think about it in an airplane, when the airplane is about to go down, it's always fit your own oxygen mask first before you fit any on your children or any of your accompanying adults. This is because we've got to be healthy and strong. And if we're not healthy and strong, we're not going to be able to help others. So it's critical that we help our own firm as well, so that we're planning and thinking about the future for our own firm for 2021. The major challenges affecting accountants are here. I won't go through them. You know them. Mass competition, downward pressure on pricing, time-starved, need to focus in the right areas, huge amount of regulatory changes constantly coming in and bombarding us. And it's been very, very difficult to scale advisory and added value services in the past. So we know the challenges. How are we going to overcome them? What are we going to do differently to make our firm a stronger and better firm? And why now, Aynsley? So why now is more important than ever? Can't we wait till February, March next year? Why do we need to be thinking about planning now? Well, one hugely important factor, this is for just the UK, but there will be other government stimulus packages coming to an end too. But in the UK, one of the major government stimulus packages, CBILS, ends on the 31st of January. Now, this is an ability for firms to get access to great loans at great rates, which are security backed by the government. Can you imagine what's going to happen on the 1st of February when that ends? Banks are going to be looking for higher interest rates, far more security than ever before. And given what's happened over the last 9 months, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to be looking for extra security and extra guarantees by the directors of that business. So you now have the opportunity, if your business client has any plans for growth in 2021, and those need to be funded by outside sources, they don't have existing cash reserves to do that, you really owe it to them to get that loan application in, to get that plan done, to ensure it's affordable, and get that loan application in before the end of January. We've also obviously got massive tax bills that are all going to come to the fore. We've got lots of March year ends, company year ends with December filing deadlines. They may have an extension for company's house, but they don't have an extension on those tax payments. So huge potential tax payments due in December. Now, bear in mind, March would have been when those profits up to, when no lockdown, no COVID issues, and what's happened since March to the cash reserves of the business, potentially massively depleted. And we've got a potentially big corporation tax bill due at the end of December. Obviously, personal tax kicking in January, that may get extended, but who knows, it may not either. So this is about making sure that our clients have sufficient reserves, sufficient cash reserves to be able to fund the business, pay their tax, and pay for any growth plans that might happen in 2021. Also, we've got furlough that will be ending, and that's been very helpful for many businesses. There's obviously been job seeker and other stimulus packages around the world. This is due to end early next year as well. It's also a new year. So from a stake in the ground perspective, this is a great time to get our clients to make that mindset shift and to say now is exactly the right time to be planning for 2021. We've got lots of potential optimism coming in 2021. We need to be ready to take advantage of that. And that's effectively what we're saying here. Be ready for the inevitable upswing that's going to happen in 2021. Get planning now so that you can take advantage from the outset, that you're not going to be 3, 4, 6 months behind that you're going to be ready to take advantage as it happens. And if we look at this recession that we're in at the moment, it was intended as a V-shaped recession. Quick dip and a quick out. Well, that's definitely not happened. We've seen that has not been the case. Obviously, your clients went into shock, looking to everybody to blame. How's this going to be fixed? Who's going to sort this? What's going to happen? I think we've realized now it's longer than we thought. And it's many moving parts, and there's potentially many different waves. But there is going to be a recovery. There is going to be that inevitable recovery. And whether that's in early 2021 or whether it's in later 2021, that recovery is going to happen. We need to be getting our clients ready now so that they're going to take advantage of that upswing and that uplift, and they're not going to get left behind. And there potentially will be new ways of doing business. All that we've learned from lockdown, all that we've learned from everything that's happened, working from home, remote working, how to do business online digitally, having to get marketing working online, moving your business from premises to online, all those things that we're learning and learning how to do business, they're going to only accelerate in 2021. And it's important that we help our clients understand the implications of that too. That's not to say that we need to be telling our clients and know all the answers. This is just, we need to be there to be able to support them, to be able to help them, to be able to give them with that critical thinking, to be able to get them to do that planning for 2021 and moving forward. Okay, Amy, so have we got any questions? I can see the chat still ticking along, or are we good to go? Is everybody agreed, or are we having people saying that no, planning is a waste of time and we don't need to do it yet?
No, everyone's agreeing. Sorry, I keep getting I'm on mute. But as well, we've had some really great points coming through from listeners about short-term planning, especially agreeing with your point about being in a VUCA world and a COVID world, or unprecedented times, whatever you want to coin it. But short-term planning is really helpful. Keeping that relationship and talking to your clients, especially during this time, to create action plans to help and helping hold them accountable has been really effective for lots of the AAT members on here, which is really cool. So yes, that's the general feedback that's been coming through. But also, just to let you know, people have been pinging me messages just to all panelists. So it hasn't been going through to everybody, but you can, of course, open up to everybody. If you don't want to and you just want to ping it to Aynsley and myself, then that's not a problem as well. But you have that option.
Yeah, there's a little drop-down box when you chat to us that you can say to all attendees rather than just to panelists. But again, as Amy said, if you just want to send the question to us, we're happy with that too. So do keep that chat going and let us know if you've got any questions and we'll make sure we handle them. Okay, so what we want to get through to here is the meat and bones of the issue. So how do we help our clients plan for 2021? How do we do it in a way that means that we can devote sufficient time, but not too much time to each client, and that we're able to absolutely help all of our clients and not just our top 10, 20%. So all of those clients that are looking for help, how do we help them? Well, we've put together a methodology for helping you plan here in a way that's going to help you do that. Again, as I said, sometimes perfect is too costly and it's too time consuming and hard to achieve. Sometimes good enough is good enough. And that's what most people are going to need to help them get them through. So let's get a little bit started about planning and think about planning from a baking perspective. So most of you may have seen MasterChef or the Great British Bake Off. So you've got a good idea about what happens in baking when you just wing it. Now, I've got here a picture of a chocolate fondant. As Amy will know, chocolate isn't actually my favorite pudding, it's cheesecake. The reason I've chosen chocolate fondant, crazy. The reason I've chosen chocolate fondant here is because actually this can be a nemesis of many contestants on MasterChef. The margins between success and failure are pretty wafer thin, and you're not going to know whether you're going to be successful or not until you cut that cake open and whether it oozes or not. So it's a good image, a visual image to get people hungry, I suppose. And I think this is probably a dreadful time to be showing a chocolate cake. It's probably about lunchtime, so people are probably getting a little bit hungry looking at that. Let's just look at the baking point, right? So if you've watched Great British Bake Off, you know that people who bake on the fly and just wing it are going to end up in disaster. It always ends in disaster in baking if you wing it. Baking's quite scientific. You need to have the right ingredients. You need to have them in the right proportions. You need to follow the recipe carefully and religiously and can't veer off that recipe. And when the cake is baking, you know how many of them are down on the floor looking into the oven to see as the cake's baking. As that cake's baking, you've got to keep a constant watch on it, and you've got to adjust temperatures and you've got to adjust the timings to be able to bake that perfect cake. Sorry, I'm struggling over my words today. I don't know why. Hopefully it's not being too confusing. It's Friday. It's the weekend coming. So think of planning like baking a cake. And that hopefully will make it a little bit simpler when you're explaining it to your clients. Because if you put it into that perspective, into those words, people understand stories often better than numbers and pictures. And words. So let's put pictures in, let's help them create an image of baking a cake and how you absolutely bake a cake without coming out with a complete mess at the end of it. It's critical. Now, if we put that into business and into a little bit of an easier framework here, this is a framework that you need to apply when you're working with all of your clients. It's a very simple framework to apply. It's the same framework that's applied worldwide. It's the same framework that's applied by massive businesses right down to small businesses, big consultants, right down to small accounting firms. Everybody who's doing this properly follows the exact same framework. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't go deeper and harder in certain areas for certain clients. If the size of the client and the size of the engagement is bigger, you will have to do more work at each of these areas. What we're going to be focusing on today is how you can help all of your clients. So these are the 80% of small business owners who get no help. Other than accounts and tax returns, they don't get any business advisory help. How do we help them with business planning? And how do we do it in a way that means that we can absolutely spend the time doing it, but that they can also get value from it and it's helpful for them going forward? So this is the framework, as simple as it is here. It is no much more complex than this. And this isn't about diving straight in. Sometimes we as accountants dive straight through to creating the plan and measuring and monitoring and creating reports and dashboards and KPIs and wanging them out to our clients and thinking we're doing a great job. This is about bringing our clients with us on the journey. It's helping them understand their key numbers and where they are now. It's helping them understand where they could or should get to. It's helping them calculate what that gap is and providing the critical thinking as accountants on that gap. It's then about helping them create a plan. Not just a financial plan, though. We also need to help them create an action plan to close that gap. And then we need to help them measure and monitor the results versus the plan. Planning in isolation and creating a business plan in isolation will not work. It has to be done within this framework. It has to be done as part of this process. And I'm going to show you how you can do this quickly and engage all of your clients, not just your top 10, 20%. So let's get started. How do you help your clients understand where they are now? Well, these are the 7 key numbers that every single business owner should know. There's 7 of them, only 7 of them. If I knew these 7 numbers for your business, I'd have an absolutely fantastic view of your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your cash flow position, and your business efficiency. In fact, I only really need one number here for me to tell you how successful an accounting firm or how successful a bookkeeping firm or how successful an advisory firm you are, and that's your revenue per employee. If I know that, I know how efficient and effective you are, how cloud or technology savvy you are, and what your likely profitability is going to be. But if I knew all 7 numbers, I'd have an even greater picture. Now, if your clients knew what these were and knew how their business was performing in relation to these 7 key numbers, they would have an amazing picture of their business as it is now. Now, bearing in mind, clients don't get numbers. The world's complex. They haven't got time to spend going through pages and pages of management information. If we could give them what these 7 key numbers, where they were now and where they could get to, we could give them an amazing picture of their business. Now, you might say, oh, well, Aynsley, yes, but gross profit doesn't really apply to maybe a rental company. So if they're renting out houses, and you could say, well, yes, possibly, but are they taking true account of the costs of renting that property above the line? So potentially gross profit, even in a rental property, could become a more important number. But pretty much for all businesses, these are the 7 key numbers that every business owner needs to know. Now, yes, of course, there will be other numbers that will be relevant to those small businesses, financial and non-financial indicators that will be important. But most small businesses don't have the time or money to pay for a key performance indicator or KPI exercise to understand what are the key drivers in their business. But if they knew these 7 numbers, they would have an amazing picture of their business. In fact, if you knew these 7 key numbers for all your clients, you would have an amazing picture of your clients. Think about it. Revenue, one of the most important numbers that we talked about, because revenue, the more we can grow revenue, the likely bigger impact we're going to have on the bottom line. Not always, and that's where we know whether clients will grow broke or not, but revenue is one of the potentially biggest contributing factors to increased profit and increased cash, if done right. Gross profit. Breaking down gross profit by product or service line, again, is one of the greatest things we can do as an accountant or bookkeeper for our clients. Giving them a grouped GP margin or not accounting for costs on a departmental basis means that we won't know what activities are generating what contribution to overheads. If our clients just account for one GP line, they don't know which product or service line is truly profitable for the effort and for the cost and for the risk of that product. But if we can show them and break down GP by product or service line, we can give our clients an amazing understanding of what activities and what areas they're focused on and whether they're the right areas to be focused on or not. Operating profit. Every financial institution, everybody worldwide valuing a business, everybody who's looking externally looking into a small business, they judge the business on their operating profit percentage. We often forget how important that operating percentage is, operating profit, and what those percentages mean. Because oftentimes we're focused on the tax bill, or oftentimes we're focused on just getting the accounts done so that we can get the filings done. We don't help our clients understand the importance of driving operating profit up and how important operating profit is when we're going for loans or whether we're going for investments. Now, this might be why the book Profit First became a kind of a sensation among entrepreneurs. As accountants, we might look at that and say, well, they just switched the formula around. What's the big deal? But it was about putting profit first and about putting profit at the start of the conversation rather than at the end result. So profit doesn't fall out of everything we do. We're going to be focusing on profit first. Well, that's exactly why operating profit is such a key metric that we should be getting our clients to think about. Revenue per employee is an amazing number which looks at the efficiency of the organization. It looks at the efficiency of the systems and processes within the organization. It looks at the staffing levels, and it looks at the effectiveness of the team that we already have. So it gives a holistic view of the business just by that one number. And if you think about it, if you have two firms of lumberjacks, One has a team that uses axes, and the others have those electric chainsaws. Which business do you think? They're both doing the same thing. They both might have the same numbers in their P&L and their balance sheet. But which of those two firms do you think will have a greater revenue per employee? And hence, which one do you think is probably making more profit? Critical way for you to get your clients to think about revenue per employee, and a great way and a great story of telling them to get them understanding the importance of revenue per employee, because both might be working as hard as the other. One is using better tools and therefore achieving a better result. So it's not necessarily about the number of staff or the way they're working. It might also be down to the efficiency and systems of the organization. So revenue per employee, a really critical key number. Cash conversion cycle is how much every pound you spend, how long it takes to come back into the business. It's the cash days. And we know how that's calculated. It's inventory or work in progress or stock days, plus accounts receivable days, less accounts payable days in very simple terms. But again, a great number to understand how the business is using the cash and how much cash the business is going to need to fund their working capital. The larger the number, the more they need to fund that. Some businesses have a negative number like Amazon, and some might have 60, 90 days. We need to be getting our clients thinking about that cash days and reducing that number. So revenue per employee, we're also always going to be wanting them to increase, and cash days, we're always going to be wanting them to decrease. Now, core cash target is recognized worldwide as a great indicator of a sustainable, profitable balance sheet. So this is a balance sheet where we can actually look at growing the business, and we can start looking at distributions above and beyond a certain number. And that core cash target is generally recognized as 2 months overheads plus current taxes set aside. Now, can you imagine your clients at the start of March, if they had 2 months overheads plus taxes set aside in their balance sheet, in their cash position, how much stronger they would have been to weather the current storm? That's how important core cash target is. And we need to be getting our clients to think about the importance of core cash target. It also indicates whether the business has a funding gap and whether it's going to need access to outside financing. Very few businesses can scale from existing reserves. They generally need to look outside for funding, whether that's invoice financing, whether it's asset financing, commercial loan mortgages, investment, or potentially even ultimate exit or sale to be able to help the business get to the next level. So core cash target critical. And business return is one of those tricky numbers. It's you can't call a baby ugly. Might be able to call your own baby ugly, but you can't certainly call anybody else's baby ugly. And this is whether the business is generating a sufficient return for the business owner, for their effort and for their risk and for what they've put in from a money perspective into the business. If it's less than 5%, would they have been better putting their money into a bank, or would they be better getting a job? If it's up at 25, 30%, how are they going to maintain that so that nobody else is going to copy their competitive advantage? Business return, a fantastic ability to understand whether the business is generating a sufficient return for the risks that the business owner is putting into those business. So can you imagine it? If the business owner really understood those 7 numbers, there's only 7. And for your team, there's only 7 for them to explain, learn, understand, be able to speak in plain English and help their clients understand these 7 key numbers. Can you imagine how much stronger the business would be if the client knew where they were now with these 7 key numbers? So again, much simpler, stripping back the complexity, helping clients understand their numbers. The next stage is helping them understand where they could or should get to. So you know those 7 key numbers that we talked about. Again, let's keeping this simple. Let's not increase the complexity here. We're just keeping business simple. Those 7 key numbers magically turn into the 5 levers of success. Again, clients can now understand what numbers are what levers and what any changes to any of these levers is going to do to their profit and cash position. So can you imagine if clients knew which levers affected profit and cash, how much they affected profit and cash by, and if we were able to help them with the actions that were needed to move each of those levers, how much more successful do you think they would be in business? If they understood what an increase in revenue and how much of an increase in revenue was going to do to profit and cash, and they understood what actions they could undertake to increase revenue, do you think that would be helpful for them? Do you think that would be a really good way of planning for 2021? This isn't about wasting hours in a complex Excel spreadsheet. This is helping clients understand from a strategic perspective the importance of their numbers, the importance of the main drivers in their business, the main things that affect profit and cash, and how much they're going to change profit and cash, and what they can do to change profit and cash going forward. So this is about helping them understand where they could get to, where they are now and where they could get to. Strategic planning is a long process and possibly costs too much and too time consuming to do for every single client. But certainly helping them with sensitivity analysis on just these 5 numbers will give you an amazing ability to understand where the business could get to. Is everybody good so far? Everybody's okay? Any questions?
No questions, but let us know in the chat if you're, following along and agree.
Okay, so what's the gap? Well, this is the easy one for us as accountants. So this is the original numbers, where they are now, having played that sensitivity analysis, where they could get to, and what that gap is. Easy to calculate. But what we can do as accountants and advisors here is give the critical thinking on that gap. If a client has been running at a 5% growth rate for the last 10 years and then tells you they're going to double their revenue, well, that's probably wrong. We can't go from 5% to 100% in 1 year. This is where we can give critical thinking on those plans, where we as accountants can look and bookkeepers can look at that and go, it looks a bit top heavy, it looks a bit racy. Should we maybe scale that back a bit? So it's not just about understanding where they could get to, it's about us giving critical thinking on those numbers and saying, I don't think that's potentially achievable unless you've got some major dramatic changes that are happening in your business that you need to tell me. So again, helping your clients understand the gap and giving that critical thinking on the gap is really fantastic. But our other great ability here is to help them analyze the gap and how it's going to affect profit and cash and how much it's going to affect profit and cash. And so the business owner can understand which areas they need to focus on and where they need to devote their time. By breaking the gap down into its effects on profit and cash and how much each one is going to affect profit and cash, we can see here clearly that increasing revenue in this case is going to have the biggest impact on profit and cash. And if we've got only 1 thing or 3 things to do this month, which 3 are we going to focus on? Well, we're going to focus on the ones that are going to affect revenue. Cash days, we can see, which is where potentially everybody focuses on, short-term cash flow planning is going to have the least impact in this example. Now, that's not to say that we can't accelerate cash days anyway, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if we could understand which numbers were driving profit and cash, we could make sure the business owners are spending the most effort in the right place. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so I understood where they are now, where they could get to, what that gap is. And if we do it for the 7 key numbers, it's very simple for us to do for all of our clients. It's not about getting into the complexity here. It's about high-level numbers. It's about getting the business owners to think differently about their business. Now, creating the plan is the simple bit. Now we've got a context for creating that plan. Now we've got the business owners thinking a little bit differently about their business. Now we've got them understanding which levers drive which effects on profit and cash and getting them thinking about how they could make those changes. The financial plan is the easy peasy bit. This is the bit that we can do in our sleep. This is the bit that we can leverage technology. There's lots of software out there to enable us to do this. We can use Excel. I'm not denigrating Excel at all. I'm just saying there are faster ways to do this using technology. And the plan is the easy bit. What's more tricky and what's more valuable for the client is an action plan. And particularly what we've said here is a who, what, when action plan. And this is important for you and your firm too. Don't take long meeting notes. Don't leave a meeting without a clear who, what, when plan, but don't take long meeting notes. Just leave with an action. Who is going to do what by when? It drives focus, it drives responsibility, and it drives accountability. That's focus, responsibility, accountability. Very simple document, very important document, and hugely valuable. Business owners that have written goals and are held accountable are, studies show, achieve 78% more. If we are helping our clients with the right actions in the first place, whilst it still only might be 78%, it's probably 78% of a hell of a lot more effective actions And therefore, the impact is going to be a hell of a lot more. Just think about that. This helps our clients keep them accountable. We give them focus with the numbers and what's important. They give us responsibility by who's going to do what. And they give us the accountability stick when they tell us when they're going to do it by. And by us holding them accountable, that's probably the greatest thing we can do for them as a firm of accountants, bookkeepers, or advisors. Now, if you think about it, every athlete, world-class athlete, has a coach. They don't necessarily have a coach to help them kick the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball better. They have a coach to keep them on track, to keep them focused, to help them with those marginal gains, those 1% gains. It's not about significant changes all the time. It's about just making those 1% changes each and every day consistently, and how much different the impact will be on the bottom results. But most importantly, you have a coach to keep you accountable. You give them the accountability stick and they make sure you take action. That's exactly the same that we need our clients to do, to have the nagging rights, to be able to hold them accountable, to understand what they've done and what they haven't done and why they haven't done it, and to help them take those actions to drive those results. Because if we've created that plan and we've spent the time thinking about what actions are going to drive what numbers, then we need to bring them back to focus all the time. Because most people will get back into the day-to-day and will forget about the plan, will get consumed by the latest firefight that's broken out, the latest customer that's complaining, the issues that the team are having, systems and processes that aren't working, the machine that's broken down, and they forget about the future and the picture. This is why regular contact with our clients, holding them accountable, is going to give them a massive increase and a massive boost in their profitability. And this is where we can help them measure and monitor results versus the plan. There is no point creating the plan unless we're going to measure and monitor. If you think about baking that cake, we need the right ingredients in the right proportions. We need to follow the plan, the recipe, and we need to then watch that cake as it's baking, to change timings and to change temperature to make sure it's working right. And measuring and monitoring the results versus the plan is so simple for us as accountants. It's budget versus actual equals variance. And when we got a variance, there's probably 3 or 4 reasons why that variance has occurred. Either the plan's wrong and we need to change the plan, first off. They've taken action and it's been the wrong action, and we need to change the action. And bearing in mind, nobody knows whether the action is going to be right or wrong until we take it. So this isn't about a fear of implementation. This is about implementing, but measuring and monitoring the effects of those implementation, those actions in real time, as much as we can. Obviously, real time is impossible with a business, but monthly, certainly. This is about us understanding were those actions wrong, or were those actions maybe not quite wrong and we need to tweak them slightly, or just they not do things that they were supposed to have done. So if there's a variance, did you do stuff that you weren't supposed to? Did you not do stuff that you should have done? Did you do stuff in the wrong way? Or is the plan wrong? Those are the only 4 reasons main reasons we're going to have a variance. And the next question for the client is, what are you going to do about that? Now, if it's a problem with the plan, we need to revisit the plan. We can't revisit the plan every month, mind you. We can't have rolling 12-month plans, but we certainly should change the plan if the variance is going to be continuously rolling over and over and over again. But where it's the client's issue, or whether it's an issue with an action and we need to change that and pivot, or just do more of it or do slightly less of it, that's what we need to be understanding and helping our clients. And doing it on a regular basis means that we're constantly changing and improving the business. It's a very simple meeting for us. We don't understand the value of that meeting as accountants. The business owners do. We think, oh my God, if we go through this with a client month on month on month, they're going to get bored. They're not. This is the way to help them improve. This is the way to drive their profitability and their profit improvement. This is the way to help them increase their business. What were you supposed to do? Did you do it? Why not? Do we need to change it? What's the effect on the profitability of the business? Great meeting. We tend to undervalue. Clients certainly value. But it's also about helping them with that action plan, that accountability piece. Did you do it? Why didn't you do it? Who's going to do it? Can we help you? Simple. Okay, quick recap. Gone through it at a lick of a pace. You will have a recording. You will have a copy of the slides. You can go through this in more detail, so don't panic. And a quick recap. help your clients understand where they are. You can go through their accounts. You can help them with their bookkeeping effectiveness. You can look at the strategic SWOT perspective. You can get into much more detail in each of these areas, as I said. Or for your smaller clients, you could do good enough is good enough. 7 key numbers, sensitivity analysis, gap, create a plan, measure, monitor results versus a plan. No more complicated than that for pretty much 80% of businesses out there in the UK. It's only the top 20% of businesses are going to need help with these other areas, but I have put them in here for you for completeness. So if you do have some of those larger clients that do need a little bit more hand-holding, this is what you can do to help them. And again, this isn't reinventing the wheel. There are plenty of tools to help you with strategic SWOT analysis, with helping you create agendas for CFO meetings. There's plenty of tools to help you with competitors' insights and benchmarking analysis. You don't need to reinvent the wheel for any of these. But if you want to be able to help all of your clients, and pretty much 80% of your clients will be covered by what we've just gone through. Okay, Amy, probably is a good time to have a quick check-in to see if we got any questions after that. Was that too slow? Was that too fast? Do I need to repeat anything? Does anybody have any questions, any issues that they want to talk about? Is there anything that I can answer and help unlock any issues?
Cool. I mean, fire away. I mean, throughout, this is brilliant and this is super helpful. So people have been following, but now's the time. Appreciate people have been listening. So if you've got any questions now, please ping them across. And if you need Aynsley to repeat anything, please let us know. But obviously, as Aynsley said, you will be getting a recording and the slides. And I'll be pinging across those links for you as well. So
thanks, Amy. So next steps. What are the next steps for you? Everything we do at Clarity is built on the Thrive model. So that's putting you at the center of everything we do. And it's about helping you get more money, time, and freedom. And to do that, we focus on the pillars of people, process, and clients. And everything we've built in Clarity comes from this Thrive model. If you want to create your own plan, then you can go on to clarity-hq.com/calculator. Amy's going to put the link in the chat box for you, so you can just click on that link. Obviously, we'll be following up with an email as well and giving you those links in that email. So if you want to create and play with your own numbers, then here's a great way to do that. And it gives you tools and prompts on how to complete those numbers for yourself. So please go on there. You don't have to enter any information. So you can put your real numbers in, and you can play with them to your heart's content. And that will give you a very rough idea and a plan for where you could get to for 2021. We've also built a scorecard for you to be able to understand, and this isn't just from advisory, this is across your entire practice. This is understanding in the areas of people, process, and clients, how strong you are as a firm, and what areas of weakness you might have, and how you might go about making your firm better. Now, I will advise you in advance, the scorecard is quite tricky. So to get 60-70%, you're doing well. To get 80-90%, it's pretty hard to achieve. So don't be too hard on yourself when you see those scores in there. But it will give you a really good idea and a good picture of what you need to do to drive the firm forward. So as I said, this is about fitting your own oxygen mask first. So please do look at that. There's a tool called Clarity that will help you do everything that we've just discussed. So understanding and helping your clients understand where they are now, where they could get to, create that gap, create an action and a financial plan to close that gap, and then measure and monitor results versus actual. It's all using technology and systems and processes. All you need is the people to be able to use it. So you need the people, because people are critical and important, and the emotional intelligence. As an AAT member, you have 30 days free. So please look at Clarity if that's a good thing for you to do. There's be ways for you to get in touch with us, and do make sure you quote that AAT code if you do get in touch with us going forward, so that you're absolutely making and getting the best deal possible as a result of your membership with AAT. So please look at Clarity if that's the right solution for you. And finally, we do have a workshop that runs. It's effectively a day's workshop that we've reimagined for online. So it gives you an ability and an understanding about how you can take your clients to the next level, how you can help them with planning, how you can help your firm too. We've taken effectively what would be a day's workshop, we've broken it up into 4 sessions, reimagined what it would be for online, helping you thrive. That workshop is normally priced at £497, but there's a special offer for AAT members, which is £97 plus VAT. Again, Amy will drop the link in the chat box for you so that you'll be able to get that. We've had a number of AAT members that have gone through it and have really enjoyed it and really successful. There's a link there and it'll show you all the kind of the testimonials and what's been covered in that workshop. So again, if you want to take this to the next level and you need help to do that, then please book on. The December courses are now full, but there are courses in early Jan. And hopefully that's not too late into the year for you to be able to take advantage and scale business advisory and helping your clients from a business planning perspective in more detail. And again, if you just want to chat to one of the team or chat to any one of us to find out what's most appropriate, or any questions that have arisen from today, or any queries you've got, then please do scan the QR code there. Just take your phone up to it and click it and it'll take you through to that link. Obviously, the link is also in there, the full URL to book a call. And this is just this is just purely to chat to one of the team and talk to them through and find out what's best for you and how you can take it forward. Amy will also drop that link in the chat box for you too. Okay, Amy, I will stay on here. I'm not running off. I'm just conscious of your time. It's important that we keep to time. And I think today I've done absolutely really well, which is surprising for me.
31 minutes past. I'm super impressed. We do have a couple of questions, Ains.
Okay, yeah, I'm still here for questions. But if you want to head away and you've got something to do, then please head away. If you've got questions, I'll stay here and answer them. So
brilliant. Oh, thank you, Rebecca. People need to jump off, but great presentation. Thank you. So a couple of questions. We were talking about the 7 key numbers and you were running through the 5 steps of making business advisory simple at this point, and talking through those meetings with action plans. And we had a question through. Sorry, I'm just scrolling up now. Do you offer these meetings free of charge, or, and as most clients don't value it or don't realise the value? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, with Clarity, we have systems and processes to help them understand the value. You can't do those meetings free of charge. It would be impossible for you to do those meetings free of charge, and it would ruin your own firm's profitability and your own profitability by offering those meetings free of charge. At Clarity, most of our members are charging between £87 and £495 for those meetings, depending on how involved and detailed those meetings are. And the whole, I suppose, way that we've created the flow for small business owners is we're constantly showing them the value that you can create. And so the fee in juxtaposition to the value doesn't seem expensive. People won't pay for something they don't understand. People won't pay for accounts and tax returns because they don't value them. They will, but they don't want to pay much for them. But people will pay if they think that you can help them improve their profitability. Now, small business owners pay coaches, they pay entrepreneurial organizations, they pay marketing people loads of money, and when you're dealing with your small business owners, they're paying these coaches. Well, they're paying these coaches because these coaches are showing them what's possible, but you can do it better because you know the numbers, you know what you can do to create a scalable, sustainable business. So this is very much about you showing the client the value in advance, giving them a quantifiable value proposition and saying, this is how much it would cost for you to get that. And you can be very upfront about that. And it's about being upfront in advance as an explanation, in arrears as an excuse. And you can offer taster sessions, and we've got a whole heap of resources to be able to help you do that.
And within Clarity as well, so a question about Clarity, the platform is, who does it link with? Does it work with Sage specifically?
At the moment, the Clarity links with Xero and QuickBooks, so it sucks the data via API with QuickBooks and Xero. If your clients are not using QuickBooks and Xero, you can enter the data manually. It's 17 numbers for 2 accounting periods minimum, and that gives you enough information to be able to start having that conversation. That manual data, obviously, if it's an API with QuickBooks or Xero, it's 30-second setup. If you have to enter the data manually, it's about 10 minutes of work to do that. We are working on an API with Sage at the moment, so that should be ready for next year, And we're also looking at free agent too. So as more and more demand comes, we will absolutely hook into more software. Obviously, it's easier to hook into cloud software rather than it is into desktop or server-based software. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. In terms of in reference to the workshops, if you can't make the course times for the following series, the upcoming cohorts and series, can you watch it later or on demand?
We don't recommend you do that. I forgot to say about the workshop, it's really important. We've changed the way the workshop works for online. So it's really intense learning, implementation, and group accountability. And there's a very tight learning, implementation, group accountability flow that happens between workshops 1, 2, 3, and 4. So effectively, you need to commit to do some work in between each of those sessions to really, really make effective use of it. So it's okay if you miss one of them, maybe. Certainly, if you miss the first one, I think you'll not get started. It's okay maybe if you miss 1 or 2 in between. We will be recorded. Those, they're recorded. There's a lot of sharing goes on, so we do need it to be in a trusted environment. And you'll be collaborating with some of your fellow workshop attendees. So it is important that you attend as many as you can. If you miss one, you will get the recording, and if you do the homework. Not homework, it sounds dreadful. If you do the optional work in between and get yourself up to speed, you can join on to the next one. But I wouldn't be joining these workshops if you think you're going to do it remotely at nighttime. You need to be there, really.
Yeah.
We do have other educational resources where you can have on demand. So there's lots of webinars that you can hook into. And if you just give Amy your email address, she'll make sure you're on and ready for those webinars, and a lot of them are on demand, so you can get access to other educational material. But the workshop is a workshop. It does need you to be there.
Brilliant, thanks, Ains. And final question, I think, as people need to jump off. But is there a business forum where small businesses can meet people who are looking to help and support both financially and with their time? So this is a question from Bridget. Sorry, Bridget, this came through at a different time, so I was multitasking, so I might need a little bit more information on that.
There are small business groups. There's local groups and there's national groups, Enterprise Nation, Entrepreneur Circle, Dent, a number of groups. It would be, I suppose, important to know where you're based and what type of organization you're looking for and what help your small businesses are looking for. But there are resources to help small businesses, and definitely forums for them to understand. Time management is critical. There's a great book. I think it's the No BS. I can't remember. Amy will find that title. It's a really good book for entrepreneurs on time management. And time management is critical, but we will certainly put that link in the email. Amy will add that to the follow-up email.
Definitely, and I've just popped down a few, Bridget, the Enterprise Nation and Entrepreneur Circle, Dent. I've dropped those names into the chat for you so that you can reference them. Brilliant, thank you. Cool, great. Well, if there are no other questions, obviously we're happy to stay on, and but appreciate that we've taken enough of your precious time at the moment. But thank you all for joining us, and I hope you really enjoyed it. It's been brilliant to have you all with us today.
Fantastic. Thank you all very much. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.